What's going on, horror fanatics? I'm Marcus. Welcome to our Shop 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my trailer breakdown for the new Scream 7 trailer that released this past Thursday. So if you're a fan of Scream and other horror movie related content, shoot the video a like. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you are new here to the channel, shoot that subscribe button followed by the bell icon for all content updates. Alright everyone, so the Scream 7 trailer has finally been bestowed upon us, and it definitely did not disappoint. One of the things I said in my stream late Thursday night in reaction to the trailer was that it seems like Scream 7 is going back to its roots from the original film in regards to building tension throughout the course of the movie. Something that I felt was lacking in Scream 5 and Scream 6. They definitely did have their tense moments, but it wasn't consistent enough, and it didn't feel like there was enough tense moments throughout the course of the movies like I felt Scream 1, 2, somewhat 3, and 4 accomplished in those movies. So the trailer starts off with Jimmy Tatro and Michelle Randolph's characters, most likely going to be boyfriend and girlfriend in this scenario, and they are entering the Stu Macher residence. And we got it confirmed, much like in the rumors leading up to the trailer and the film in general, we got it confirmed that Stu Macher's house is in fact an Airbnb. You see a bunch of Stab movie memorabilia there. You see an animatronic Ghostface. You even see the chalk outlines from Billy Loomis's death as well as Richie Kirsch's death. But the one thing that stands out to me in regards to all the memorabilia and stuff that we see here in this shot is the Stab movie poster that you see dead smack here in the center. And the reason why that stands out to me is because that poster seems more modern. It does not look anything like the original Stab movie poster that we saw back in 1998 in Scream 2, which leads me to believe that in the aftermath of Scream 6's events leading into Scream 7, the Stab movie franchise might have gotten rebooted, and the stories were basically based off of the Samantha Carpenter stories from Scream 5 and Scream 6. This is something that I talked about even last year in regards to talking about early predictions and theories for what they could do in Scream 7. Could we see the Stab movie franchise be brought back into the fray? And it seems with that more modernized poster, that is definitely the case. We then see Michelle Randolph's character in another room in the house looking at more memorabilia, to where we see Ghostface, not an animatronic one, but an actual Ghostface, creep up behind her and proceed to chase her throughout the house. Now, before I get into the chase scene and so on and so forth, I do want to mention the fact of the killer breathing rather heavily. I think in Scream 4, they did that as well with Ghostface kind of having some type of heavy breathing, but I don't recollect it being this deep. Like, this was Michael Myers-esque heavy breathing. And that's kind of what I look at this, them doing that with Ghostface being. That's an homage to Michael Myers. We know how much Wes Craven mirrored Scream after Halloween. Basically, Scream was a love letter to Halloween, so on and so forth. We know the story and stuff like that. So I think by them having Ghostface breathe this heavy, that is nothing more than an homage to Michael Myers. But hey, for all I know, this fucking Ghostface could have asthma for all I know. So, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? We don't know until we get there, right? But we then see Ghostface chase Michelle Randolph's character throughout the house. We see her try to fight him off, hits him with a lamp, knocks him over the ledge, to where he falls down on the floor and stuff. And then she ends up hanging from a chandelier, trying, to escape Ghostface. But we all know how this is going to end. She's going to have to fall, right? So she ends up falling, and Ghostface turns over with the knife planted dead center so that she can fall on it. And I think that is going to be a really cool kill scene to watch play out. Am I a little annoyed that they showed that kill scene? Not in its entirety, but we know how it's going to play out. Yes, because I feel like that kill scene would have been a really cool, shocking moment in the theater. Like, oh shit, that's how she dies? Like, damn, okay. You know what I mean? That's a little bit different. You know what I mean? But we know how these trailers go, guys. They're going to spoil some things that we're going to see in the movie. And there's going to be some things in this trailer that we're not going to see in the movie. I want to make that very, very clear, especially because later on in the video, based on certain things, in the trailer, in the dialogue, I have some interesting theories that I want to share with you guys. But I want to hammer home the fact that everything that we see in the trailer and everything that we hear in the trailer might not make it to the final cut of the movie. Another cool moment that will transpire at the Macher residence is that we will be seeing Ghostface taking a gas can, engulfing the residence with gasoline, taking a match and burning the motherfucker down, walking out of the front door, away from the crime scene, looking like a total badass while the house is engulfed in flames. Very Halloween Kills-esque, very Michael Myers-esque, and that's not the only Halloween homage that I picked up on in this trailer, and I will discuss those here later on in the video. I have to say though, the most interesting aspect about this whole scene taking place at the Macher residence for me is the fact that we do not see Jimmy Tatro's character get attacked in the same fashion that we see Michelle Randolph's character being attacked. Now, I know some fans out there believe that the body that we see Ghostface dragging away in a certain scene in the trailer, they believe that's Jimmy Tatro's character based on the shirt that character who's being dragged away is wearing, because they are wearing similar shirts. However, if you look at the hairstyle, that is not Jimmy Tatro that is being dragged away. And if you look closely, if I had to guess who's the body that is being dragged away by Ghostface, who's that character, to me, that would be Asa Germain's character, Lucas, because of the build and the hairstyle. Some would even go with Sam Reckner's character, Ben, being that he is going to be Sidney Prescott's daughter's boyfriend in this movie. And I'm not against that idea, but if I'm not mistaken, it has been rumored that Sam Reckner's character, Ben, is going to have a similar hairstyle to Billy Loomis, meaning his hair is going to basically more fall on his shoulders. This person whose body is being dragged away, their hair is not shoulder length. So that, in my opinion, leaves out this character being Sam Reckner's character, Ben, and it also leaves out Jimmy Tatro's character. So again, I think that that's going to be Asa Germain's character. That's the body that's being dragged away in this moment. Now, why that is interesting in regards to Jimmy Tatro's character and the fact that we do not see him getting attacked like we saw Michelle Randolph getting attacked is because there has been rumors circulating for months that we will see an early Ghostface reveal in this movie. Could they have just showed that with the opening scene of the trailer by not showing Jimmy Tatro's character get attacked in any shape, way, or form? I definitely do think it's possible, especially when you take into account certain moments of this trailer that I'm going to bring up that also hints into the possibility that we are going to be getting a Ghostface cult. But not only that, we are going to be getting multiple early Ghostface reveals in this movie. We then get our first look at Sidney Prescott in the Scream 7 trailer. That is followed up by voiceover audio between her and Ghostface in their conversation, followed by a multitude of scenes following her and her daughter and the events that transpire in this film. But I want to focus on this particular shot for a multitude of reasons. Most specifically because of the attire that Sidney is wearing. You see she is wearing a blue sweater with white stripes. You also see in this particular shot, it is daytime outside. And she seems to be in her house looking at something with a bewildered look on her face. Now, before I get to the bewildered look aspect of what I believe is going on in this moment, I want to point out the fact that you will also notice in the trailer that there is a nighttime scene where we see Sidney take a step outside. There's a bunch of people saying, "Sidney, Sidney, Sidney." You see EMTs outside. You also, even though they didn't interlink them at the same time, you will also notice that this is when Gail Weathers and the Meek Martin twins arrive in Pine Grove, because that's when you hear Gail say, "Let's unmask this fucker." I bring this up because I believe this moment, where Gail arrives and all that stuff, this is after the fact of Sidney getting attacked in her house with her daughter by Ghostface, which they do show in the trailer. Now, back to the bewildered look on Sidney's face here in this particular moment here in the daytime. Now, you can chalk this bewildered look in her face, on her face, I should say. You can chalk that up to her looking at a news bulletin. Maybe a murder has taken place, an attack has taken place that is related to Ghostface, which would be very reasonable as to why she has this look on her face. However, I'm going to go in a different direction, and I'm going to say this is the moment where she gets her first phone call from Ghostface. Only it's not Ghostface talking as Ghostface, it's Ghostface talking as Dewey Riley. Because if you listen closely in the trailer, where you see Celeste O'Connor's character hiding in the bar from Ghostface, you hear a voiceover of Dewey Riley's voice saying something along the lines to Sidney, "Every one of your friends who get close to you, they die." Or however it is he coined it, however it is he phrased it. One way or another, the point is that we hear Dewey Riley's voice toying with Sidney Prescott. And I think in this particular moment, this could be where we hear Dewey's voice talking to Sidney, and this could be the first phone call that Ghostface delivers to her, which would also mean, especially with all the AI talk, that we could be seeing the AI Scream 3 voice modulator make a return, but a more modern return. Alright, y'all, so let's get into this line of dialogue that was spoken by Ghostface to Sidney Prescott, as well as the attack scene in her house, and why I think these two particular scenes especially hold a lot of significance in regards to uncovering who the killer could be, right? As well as other scenes we're going to talk about, as well as her wardrobe that I just mentioned, and why it's significant, especially if you are leaning into the theories that we are getting a cult of Ghostface, and we could be getting multiple early Ghostface reveals throughout this movie, possibly in different locations. I'm going to talk about that because I picked up on this shit. But, okay, so let's talk about this line of dialogue from Ghostface, shall we? Hello, Sidney. Did you miss me? Nice little town you found. You and your pretty daughter. Reminds me of where we grew up. Oh, just another fucker hiding behind a voice changer. Oh, I'm not hiding, Sidney. Not this time. Okay, so a lot of us Stu truthers out there will automatically wave the white flag and say that's Stu. It has to be Stu, especially when you take into account of the opening scene of the trailer taking place at Stu Macher's house. And I'm not sitting there saying that we are wrong. This could definitely be Stu. But I want us to take into account the fact that we do see the unknown phone call come on to Sidney's phone. It is from Woodsboro, but it's unknown. That's number one. Or whatnot. So it could be anybody from Woodsboro. Number two, it could be anybody from Woodsboro because anybody could have grew up in Woodsboro, the same place Sidney Prescott grew up. But we are looking for people who are close to Sidney, who would have a deep connection, who would want to come after her and kill her, right? That's what makes most logical sense. So, as much as I believe it could be Stu Macher, I also believe this could be Jill Roberts. Yes, Jill Roberts. This has been a rumor and a theory that many fans have wanted to see happen for a long time. The return of Jill Roberts. We know Kevin Williamson never wanted to really kill her character off, much like Stu Macher, so on and so forth. She is definitely in the hunt in this conversation to be a killer returning that we thought was dead that isn't dead. And the lines of dialogue that really appeal to me in regards to Jill possibly being the killer who is speaking this dialogue is the fact that Ghostface says to Sidney, I'm not hiding this time, as well as reminds me of where we grew up. Obviously, Jill Roberts grew up in Woodsboro. But the hiding dialogue, that's the key. Because if you recall in Scream 4, Jill Roberts not only was a killer hidden in plain sight, but there was a moment in the final act where they're being chased by Charlie and Sidney makes Jill hide underneath the bed. Hence, I'm not hiding, Sidney. Not this time. So, I'm just saying, guys, again, like I said earlier, that line of dialogue might not even be put into the movie. We have to take into account that in Scream 6, in the trailers to that movie, we kept hearing that dialogue, I'm something different. And it never made it into the movie. So whatever line of dialogue that we heard in this trailer, some of those lines of dialogue might not make it into the movie. But for the sake of what we heard in this trailer, I definitely do think it is credible to think that Jill Roberts, somehow, some way, could be alive and could be the one who's saying these words to Sidney Prescott, especially when you take into account that we are going to be visiting a mental institution in Scream 7. We know that Gail is supposed to be visiting a mental institution. So for all we know, what if Jill, all these years, unbeknownst to us until we watched Scream 7, could have survived and she was thrown in the fucking loony bin? Hey, the hiding dialogue and the growing up in Woodsboro dialogue definitely puts Jill Roberts on the table to return in Scream 7, especially when you take into account the rumors that Emma Roberts was supposed to make an appearance in this movie, or is making an appearance in this movie. More on the scene where Ghostface attacks Sidney and Tatum inside their house, as well as, I guess, Mark. I mean, we do see Mark standing across from Sidney when the lights go out, but then when they run into the panic room, you don't see Mark with them, which I found very strange, especially considering what we see happen to the character later on. But that's neither here or there. We will get there when we get there. But I absolutely love the Black Christmas homage. I thought that was one of the best shots in the entire trailer, where we see Ghostface jumping down from the attic and then the camera pans back and they just look over his shoulder. Awesome shot. Fantastic shot. And just the thought that this motherfucker could be living inside their house. That's nuts. Another thing to take note of is that Sidney has a panic room with a camera on it, so her house is somewhat booby-trapped up, as you would expect, a la Laurie Strode from Halloween. And speaking of Halloween references, how about that slow, methodical sit-up by Ghostface after they get knocked down? Woo! I'm telling you, it's all orgasmic. The shots that they fucking put into this trailer, even without giving so much away, the shots that they put in the trailer alone should get you super excited, especially if you weren't excited before. And to leave it off on this note in regards to this scene, I do believe this is the scene where Ghostface abducts Tatum, because when Sidney steps outside and the paramedics and all those people are there saying, "Sidney, Sidney, Sidney," and Gail and the twins arrive, you do not see Tatum outside with her. So I do believe this scene where we see Ghostface stabbing through the wall at Sidney and Tatum, which I think is going to be such a nerve-wracking scene. All this stuff that transpires in this scene is going to lead up to Ghostface abducting Tatum. I guess I should move on to Sidney's husband, Mark, and the fact that in this trailer, they basically spoiled the fact that he will be getting killed off in this film. But I just can't help but think that there's a little bit more to it than that. I kind of feel like they're trying to rib us a little bit. Like Mark's going to be in on the whole kibosh. Crazy enough to think, right? I mean, I guess the reason I feel that way is, again, going back to that scene where Ghostface is attacking Sidney in their house, and the lights cut off and he's standing across from Sidney, but then when Ghostface starts attacking, you don't see him anywhere in sight. And then you add in the fact that during his kill scene, he's looking rather suspicious. He seems to be in a warehouse of some sorts or wherever he's at, and he's doing something. He just kind of looks up to no good. Then boom, he gets tackled and stabbed through the tarp by Ghostface, and I just don't know. Something just kind of seems off with that. I mean, I guess a lot of us already kind of had an idea that this character would not make it too far in the movie. A lot of us predicted that he would get killed off. I just feel like them showing it in the trailer, it's just too easy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I got a feeling there's something more to it. Now, on to why I believe the wardrobe of Sidney Prescott is a key clue to look at, especially when you're piecing together this trailer and trying to come up with your own ideas as to what's going on in these particular moments. The reason why I believe the wardrobe is important is because there are two particular scenes where we see Sidney seemingly having an encounter with Ghostface, but she's wearing different clothing. The first one is what looks to be possibly in her house in the aftermath of Ghostface stabbing through the wall. She screams "motherfucker" and starts firing her gun. Now you can make the case that in that moment she fires her gun and Ghostface gets away, and that's nothing more than just a traditional Sidney shooting at Ghostface in a runaway scene. However, keep in mind, this is also the scene that we believe Tatum to get abducted. Keep in mind that shortly after that scene, as I mentioned earlier, is the nighttime scene where we see all those people outside saying, "Sidney, Sidney, Sidney." Gail and the twins show up. There's a paramedic on standby. Now, granted, if I'm not mistaken, I have to go back and rewatch the trailer. I do think her husband Mark has a band-aid on his head, and if that is the case, maybe the paramedic is there to treat his injuries. Maybe he got knocked out by Ghostface, which would explain in that chase scene in the house why he wasn't present with them in the panic room. But you can also make the assumption that in this moment, when Sidney is firing her gun at Ghostface, we get an early Ghostface reveal and Sidney kills him. Much like the rumors have been circulating about that we're going to get an early Ghostface reveal and that Sidney kills this person, which would explain why there is a paramedic on standby after the chase scene and the attack scene in Sidney's house happens. Now, another moment where Sidney seemingly has an encounter with Ghostface is where we see her busts into the door of this house. It looks somewhat empty. She's pointing her gun both ways, and she's wearing a jacket that is similar to the one that she wore in Scream 2. So this is a completely different wardrobe that she's wearing in this particular scene. And then later on in the trailer, we see her yelling at who we believe to be Ghostface, "Where is my daughter?" Guys, that tells us, especially between these two particular scenes, the one where she's wearing the striped shirt and the one where she's wearing a jacket, that there's going to be an encounter with Ghostface, two different Ghostfaces, in my opinion, to where we could get an early reveal, which would hint at the possibility and almost make it a fact that this is going to be a Ghostface cult in this movie, and that all these early reveals will lead into the shocking reveal as to who is the leader behind the cult of Ghostfaces. And of course, last but certainly not the least, towards the end of the trailer, we get the voice of Stu Macher saying this is going to be fun. And guys, this is definitely going to be fun. But I will also say this. Does this automatically tell us that Stu Macher's alive? No. Because much like with Dewey's voice, what this does tell us is that they are going to be using some type of AI voice modulator that is going to be used to use different people's voices outside of the Ghostface voice. However, the fact that we even hear Matthew Lillard again in a Scream movie is just phenomenal. I'm so happy for him, and I'm so excited to see what exactly they are going to do with Stu Macher's character, because I don't believe that he's just going to be some AI generated voice or some AI generated video, whatever you want to call it. I do believe his character is alive, and I do believe that he is going to be revealed, whether it's at the end of 7 or at the end of 8, that he is the one pulling all the strings. In my opinion, you don't start off this trailer showing us the Stu Macher residence and then showing Ghostface burning it down unless it has something to do with Stu Macher. So, whatever this movie is in regards to, like, whatever they're going to do with the Stu Macher character, there's going to be two ways this happens. Whoever the killer is going to be connected to Stu Macher, or Stu Macher is going to be the killer once again himself, and we're going to get some backstory as to how and why he was able to survive for so long and stay hidden for so long. Because that's another key piece of that hidden dialogue that a lot of us Stu truthers, we talk about. We always talked about how Stu could have been in hiding all this time. So hearing that dialogue, especially for the first time in a trailer, automatically, you're not wrong to assume, oh my god, they're going in the direction that was supposed to be for Scream 3, and they're going to bring Stu back alive, and so on and so forth. I really hope that is the case. I just want us to keep in mind and not get our hopes up in case it doesn't happen. There are other avenues in regards to how they can incorporate his character into the storyline of this movie. And as a quick PS before I end the video, I do want to make mention of the fact that I did notice when they were presenting Tatum and her friends in the fashion of Halloween 78, that I did notice that McKenna Grace's character is wearing a blue plaid skirt. And most of the time when you wear plaid in the Scream movie, you will turn out to be a killer. I know a lot of fans have been speculating that she is going to be one of the killers based on a previous movie that she did where she played a villain, and that they would love to see her be revealed as one of the killers in this movie. Hey, I'm not against it. I just hope that she's just not some wingman killer who has no purpose and wasn't necessary to the plot of the story. If they're going to make her a killer, make her be meaningful. That's all I ask for. But alright everybody, that is it for the Scream 7 trailer breakdown video. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the Scream 7 trailer. Are you excited as I am for it? Or are you not excited for it? Maybe this won't be your cup of tea. As well as let me know your theories, but more importantly, your outlier theories. And what I mean by that, what are some outlier theories that you think are so batshit crazy that none of us are talking about? You guys know I always love talking to you guys. I love the engagement. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Once again, I am Marcus, and this is iShine 6 Times YouTube Horror Movie Channel. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms. Thank you all for watching.